to the guardians of the Eastern Watchtower.
And I'm the High Priestess.
Blessed be the ancestors.
To be a witch is incredibly relevant in today's society.
I cast the circle hand to hand.
We kind of work a magic together.
Nestled in the heart of the Hudson Valley is the Church of the Eternal Circle.
My plans purify you.
The only legally recognized Wiccan church in the state of New York.
Osiris.
We kind of follow the tradition of the craft of the wise. We are witches.
Where for the very first time, members invited CBS2 to attend their services.
My thoughts can heal.
Lisa Stewart and her husband Anton are the founders of the church.
There are definitely more of us than you think.
It's estimated as many as 1 million people identify as being a witch in the U.S., with 20% of that population to be in New York.
We have people who are professionals of all kinds,
including a librarian, a computer scientist, a nurse, and a homemaker.
Very normal people are part of this religion.
In addition to practicing witchcraft, Dr. Davis Sprague, a former Methodist, is a practitioner of internal medicine. Joe Ladotti, a sculptor, converted from Catholicism.
I'll keep an open mind.
Unlike its pop culture portrayal, members say witchcraft is actually grounded in love and spirituality.
The stereotype, of course, is the broom of...
It's for sweeping your circle and clearing the energy.
Not for flying?
Not for flying.
This is a somber celebration marking the start of winter. In the Wiccan Church, Samhain is known as the Night of Souls, when witches honor their ancestors. And magic is simply the belief you can make anything happen.
It's kind of like a prayer.
There's no devil worship, only a love for the goddess of creation and inspiration, along with the antlered god of all things wild and free.
When I tell people that I am a witch, I'm met sometimes with abject horror.
But this is based on old myths these modern-day witches now want to dispel.
It really is a beautiful way of life.
Bring forth your elemental power.
Osiris.
Now, with a strong belief in what goes around comes around, we can say that there's never a need for black magic.
مسكر Amerika'nın Kudüs'ü İsrail'in başkenti olarak tanıma kararı almaya hazırlandığı yönündeki haberlerle ilgili üzüntülerimi bir kez daha ifade etmek istiyorum. Kudüs, Sayın Kral, Müslümanların kırmızı çizgisi.
California Governor Jerry Brown, a Democrat, says President Trump's stance on climate change demonstrates that he does not appear to fear the, quote, wrath of God or have any regard for the existential consequences of his climate change policies. Brown said in an interview on CBS's 60 Minutes, which is set to air on Sunday, quote, I don't think President Trump has a fear of the Lord, the fear of the wrath of God, which leads one to more humility. This is such a reckless disregard for the truth and for the existential consequences that can be unleashed. Brown, who previously studied to become a Jesuit priest prior to entering politics, has been a vocal critic of the Trump administration.
The couple Richard Siebold, 83, and Yvonne Siebold, 91, sit in an emergency shelter after leaving their home due to a wildfire in Ventura, California. California wildfire evacuee Richard Siebold once spent a month in the South Pole, so he knows something about surviving in tough conditions. Life in an emergency shelter, however, has been particularly hard, the 83-year-old said on Friday as he gripped a styrofoam cup of coffee and sat next to his cot in a warehouse in the coastal city of Ventura. I used to live and work at the South Pole, and it was much nicer than here.
All right, let's take a look at the radar. You can see we've got plenty of rain out there, Florida through Georgia and the Carolinas, but it's this thin band that's been the troublemaker, that blue band there. Boy, what a kicker, huh? We still have snow in southern Mississippi, southern Alabama. Boy, that's getting really close to the Florida Panhandle. If we get snow in Florida, that'll make all 50 states have gotten snow so far this season. All right, you take a look in Atlanta tonight. Pretty heavy snow bands still remain west and north sides of town. So if you're heading I-75 north, you could be in trouble. Then you head I-85 into the upstate of South Carolina. Now starting to back off some here in Greenville. Thinner band between Greenville and Asheville now, but heavy snow along I-40 and north of Charlotte up around Lake Norman. And then Greensboro to Richmond. Boy, this is the focal point tonight. If you were to just ask any meteorologist tonight where you're worried about the snow, this would be the spot right here where a solid half a foot of snow is going to fall for you overnight tonight. And Richmond, by the time this storm has ended, you're going to be roughly in that 10-inch zone for total accumulation. All right, Raleigh. Now, interesting story for you, Raleigh. You're just warm enough and just far enough east where it's all rain for you through the night. Now, tomorrow morning, 11 o'clock in the morning, we're going to start to see some changeover to a little bit of snow. But your window for snow is pretty short here, only maybe 2-3 hours, and that's it. So not expecting much happening for you in Raleigh. Roanoke, different story. Elevations cooling your temperatures. All snow all the way through tomorrow afternoon, so be prepared to shovel it. Ocean City, Maryland, now through the next couple hours of rain snow mix, and then we think warm enough it turns over to rain through tomorrow, maybe 5-6 o'clock, and then back over to snow. But that large period of rain really limits your accumulation in a place like Ocean City, of course, sitting right on the water. You get some influence from the Atlantic that helps warm your temperatures maybe just enough. Boston, winter storm warning is posted for us, 37 degrees right now. Snowy weather comes in late tonight and tomorrow. A decent amount of snow. In fact, your biggest snow of the season so far. Tom Nizzle has more on that and the next system behind it.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, this is, Benji is really, really a big storm all the way from Texas to Maine. And if we take a look here, you know, it began back here in West Texas where they got significant snows. It came in through Texas here, right up through this area here, up through Atlanta. It's going up through the Mid-Atlantic and all the way up to Boston and New England. And that's going to be in through the Saturday time frame. But guess what? There's another piece of energy right here that is going to come down into this cold air. And as it does so, it's going to set up the potential for more significant snows as we get into the beginning of the week. So there's
This is awesome. All right, it's over. Let's go.
Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi declared final victory over the Islamic State Saturday after Iraqi forces drove its last remnants from the country. Victory comes just 3 years after the militant group captured about a third of Iraq's territory. The announcement follows reports that the Russian military has defeated militants in neighboring Syria. Honorable Iraqis, your land has been completely liberated. The dream of liberation is now a reality, Abadi said in a televised address. The government said the declaration meant Iraqi forces had secured the western desert and the entire Iraq-Syria border, and marked the end of the war against the Islamic State.
Thank you. 5 minutes. If you don't leave, I'm going to get you guys kicked out. Thank you.
This says nothing about supporting political identity. That says nothing about politics.
Get out.
You have no right to do any of this.
Yeah, I actually do.
On what
I'm
grounds?
protecting my customers.
From what?
We're your customers. We bought something.
Yeah.
I don't want people like you supporting this club.
Well, then you should include
no
that.
One
then I want a
here
refund on my
people
coffee.
Like
Yeah,
you
then I'll give
supporting
everyone a
our
coffee.
club.
Then I want
I'm
a refund.
giving you 5 minutes.
Yeah. Then give us all refunds and we'll leave.
Well, you drank it.
Well,
you
if you're
have your coffee.
I haven't actually touched
Do not try to outsmart me. I'm giving you 4 minutes now. Please leave. 4 minutes.
I have not got my coffee yet. I'll make a refund.
4 minutes.
I have the right to take a picture of this document.
Okay, 4 minutes. Please pack your stuff up and go. Thank you very much. Very soon it will be 3 minutes. Wow.
You're trying to be threatening. Why are you being threatening?
Because you are threatening the integrity of our club.
How?
This is a community standard. You are wearing hats that completely violate our safer space policy. I'm
Does
telling
this
you
hat
to
have a
take it
racial
off
slur
or you
on it?
have to go.
Does
Yes, it does.
What is the acronym?
3 minutes. 3
What does the acronym
minutes.
stand for?
Fascism, Nazis. Okay, what do you want? 3 minutes.
I do not see fascism, Nazis on this hat. I see America.
Minutes. 3 minutes.
And I remember one night, I was all by myself, and I took the last of the records and CDs, and I put them in my car, and I drove down to the church, Regency Baptist Church in Orangevale, California. It was on a weeknight. I drove down to the church, and nobody was around. There wasn't a soul winning night. It wasn't a church night. I drove down there, and I looked up to heaven in front of the dumpster in the Regency parking lot. I looked up to heaven, and I said, God, this stuff means nothing to me compared to getting people saved. You know, I don't need this stuff. I want you to use me, God. I want to be maximum for Jesus. I took this stuff and I just said, I'm just going to throw this away right now, God. And I want you to do something for me. I want you to use me to win souls. And I threw that stuff in the trash. I just went by myself souling. You know, usually I went 2 by 2 with the church, but I just went by myself on this night. I knocked on the second door. And I walked in, and it was a family. It was a man and his wife and 3 children. And he was saved, it turned out. He was actually saved. But his kids weren't saved. And they were, they were 12, 13, 10, around that age. And I sat down at the table, and I won those kids to the Lord. And that was a great victory for me, because I'd seen very few people saved in my 2 years of souling. Just a couple people saved. And so this was a big deal to me, that just the first door I knocked, here I got a couple people saved. The next night, they came to church, and the kids got baptized. And this family had been out of church. The parents hadn't been in church in years. The dad was saved, and the mom was saved, but they just hadn't been in church. And they came to church. Those kids got baptized, and that family became faithful in church. And, that's when I believe that was the turning point in my soul winning. I'm not kidding. I mean, after that, I started having a lot of people saved. And that's when God really started using me. You see, the thing that changed my life wasn't just church. It was the joy of winning people to Christ is what changed my life. That's what motivated me to get the sin out of my life. That's what motivated me to clean up my act. That's what motivated me to get in the Bible and read it and study it. I said, I want God to use me to win somebody to the Lord. And I mean, the rock concert wasn't the same, the movies weren't the same, the music wasn't the same. It all just got boring to me in comparison with winning somebody to Christ, and they're going to go to heaven. And then to see that person get baptized, and to see that person begin to read the Bible and live for God. Hey, that's what changed my life. And that's what's going to change your life. My life didn't change just from coming to church and listening to preaching. My life changed when I went out soul winning. That's the truth.